Hello and welcome to another episode of the CSI Football Podcast, where we embark on a forensic delve into a particular season of football, usually with tongue tint. I'm your host, Ian Stephen, and for today's episode, we're meeting a man who conquered the Celtics in a cup final and battered Bayern for one half at least. It's Ally Graham. Ally, how's life treating you?
Really well, Ian, although I wish I could get to some more football games, but this winter I'm quite pleased to be sitting watching it in the comfort of my own home instead of getting out and about. But love the football, love talking about it, love talking to my pals about it, who most of them are all different supporters of different teams, so very interesting getting their views as well as my own, of course.
Well, that is a question I'm going to have to ask you about what your particular team is, but it's good to hear that you still enjoy football. A lot of players played football because they were good at it, not because they love it, so it's good to see people that are still kind of love the game.
I think Ian as well. You know, a good old pal of mine, Willie Pettigrew, who was absolutely sensational way back in the day. You know, I just wondered how much he'd be worth now, to be honest with you. But he always used to have a wee kind of gripe about modern day players, and you know, he said I could only header the ball, you know, and things like that. And I knew he was only joking with us, but you do get frustrated watching some of the modern day players, especially when you watch over the border and the amount of money that these guys are earning now, you know. But the squads are bigger, of course, as well. And there seems to be this big divide in Scotland compared to England with that situation. But it is a frustration sometimes when you're watching teams. And I don't know how they've got excuses, because the balls are better. The parks look like bowling greens, some of the parks. Although the 4G is not a big pal of mine.
Well, you might be the best person to ask this question to. The most informed striker in Scotland at the moment, Bojan Miłowski at Aberdeen. And there was rumours that Celtic were maybe wanting to pay 1 to 2 million for him, maybe take him into the January window. Maybe a symptom of how finances work in Scotland. How much do you think he would be worth if he was moving from, say, a Serie A club to a English Premier League club?
Well, we've had this argument, me and a couple of my pals, and there's no doubt. I watched Celtic last night. I watched Maeda try to control the ball inside the box. He miscontrolled it. He was onside. I watched the other, Ida, doing the same thing. And I just thought to myself at the time, Miłowski might have controlled it and banged it away. But you've just got to look across to the capital as well. And Shankland's banging in the goals as well. He scored another wonderful goal last night, Ian, as well, for Hearts. So there's two informed strikers, which I think a slight difference in age. I think Shankland's maybe going to settle on his contract at Hearts. Good, decent championship player in England for me. But Miłowski, I think, could play. Well, you're not telling me he couldn't play for a Sheffield United in the Premier League or any of these teams. If he did, and if he was playing in Serie A, you're looking 15, 17 million pound for these players.
That's for a club like Aberdeen, that's a new stadium built.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I can understand at times why Celtic wouldn't have paid the money, or Rangers for that matter. But I think it's a chance missed for them, because somebody says to me they'll just wait to the end of the season now for a Shankland or a Miłowski. They could be the difference in winning the title, or obviously, you know, getting into the Champions League.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to ask you a personal question.
Yep.
Do you have a middle name?
Yes, I do, and it's a good Irish name. Yes, my name's Alistair Sloy Graham.
That's like the coolest middle name for a striker ever.
Well, I was slow, wasn't I? But I wouldn't. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't tell anyone out there, because they're a hardy bunch.
So where were you born and brought up?
I was born in Glasgow. I was born in I think it was the Queen Mother's Hospital.
Snap.
In the Queen Mother's Hospital, and we lived in Govan for a short time, 6 or 7 months before we moved to Royston Hill, where I to play football. And the gratitude for my mum and dad bringing me up there is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Loved it.
For maybe kids of a younger generation don't understand it, but you might not have been brought up playing football, especially school football, on grass pitches. Would that be correct?
I think there was broken bottles from the gangs fighting at the Glenconner football parks across the road. Although I was very, very fortunate, Ian, and honestly very fortunate to have outside our high flats there was an ash football park.
When you were growing up, as the one in Glasgow, there's usually a pull towards one of 3, maybe 4 clubs if you live in the south side. Was there a certain gravitation in your side?
At the age of 8, 9-year-old, and I know there'll be mothers and fathers out there kind of thinking to themselves, well, how did he manage to do that? I used to walk it for Royston Hill to Celtic Park to watch Kenny Dalglish. He was my hero, still is my hero. Although I actually enjoyed watching Danny McGrain just as much. I just loved him. I loved the attacking fullback. I just think modern day players, he was a modern day player way back in the 70s, and a fantastic guy, and what a player.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. Was there any sniff from some of those Glasgow clubs when you were at school? Because you started your career at Clydebank.
Yeah.
Were you a sought after football star, or was it a harder road to get into the game?
I don't think moving to East Kilbride from Glasgow kicked it off for me, although I did play for the school team, Rosemount Primary in Royston Hill when I was 8-year-old. I can't remember if it was a janitor or one of the teachers. I remember his name, Mr. Taylor. And it's quite funny. I've actually a good story about that, because my pal, one of my colleagues at Hamilton Accies, Brian McPhee, went to the same school, and Mr. Taylor took his team as well a number of years later. So he had an eye for a player, I think, Mr. Taylor. But my first game, I got asked to play at the Glenconner Black Ash football parks in Royston Road, and there was more boulders on that ash than ash, Ian. And I had a pair of wedges on. My mum had to come down with my football boots at half time, and I ripped the side of them. And I was more concerned about ripping the side of my wedges than the 3-0 defeat for St Rochs, who absolutely battered us, and I've been scared for that ever since. Actually, we got a tanking.
I used to play in goals, and Jim Leighton was my hero. So I had a pair of Royce goalkeeper gloves, got them for Christmas, and then I realised that if I played in the ash pitches, I would get them hammered. So I refused to save the ball with my hands when I played in goals. So I didn't last as a goalkeeper.
Well, funny enough, I actually started in goals. I've got a confession in to you. It was for the BB. It was the Garngad BB, and I was in goals, and it was in the days when I played. So I'm looking for a date here. Must have been 74, 75. It was actually gardening gloves with Velcro on them. They weren't the real goalie gloves. So my gran got me them for my birthday or my Christmas, and I went in goals for the BB, and we beat 21-0. 21-0 with these guys. I don't even know where they were from. Bleed. And my dad says, I think you should maybe try out field. So I just started playing out field. I didn't fancy the goalkeeping team.
Well, tell us about joining Clydebank then, because they're a club that they were iconic at the time. They produced some fantastic players. David Cooper was one of the famous players that came out of there. What was your time like at Clydebank?
Well, before that, I met a boy called. Well, I played with a footballer called Kevin Ingalls in East Kilbride when we moved up to East Kilbride, and at 13, 14 years of age, St Mirren signed us. So we went to St Mirren. The time of Alex Ferguson, 12, 13, the time of Alex Ferguson going to Aberdeen, he took us up there as well. So there was a bit of to and fro between the two clubs. Mm-hmm. Every school holiday went up to Aberdeen. And me and Kevin stayed with St Mirren. I went to Aberdeen, then I went back to St Mirren. But they wanted to step us into I was playing 2 years above my age. They wanted me to go back to 16s, and I felt I was big enough and strong enough to go higher, you know, and start my career. So Kevin said to us, why don't you come down to Annie's Land United? We're affiliated with Clydebank. So I left St Mirren. For about a year I was kind of floating about. I'm going 17, 18, now 16, 17. And Big John Arrow, ex-Clyde goalkeeper, was the manager of Annie's Land United. And I went there with Kevin. There was a couple of boys signed with Clydebank there. Big Paul McLaughlin, left back, Celtic and Partick Thistle. Jerry Craney, the one you know, another one. He was signed with St Mirren from before he went to Clydebank, and a couple of others, and I loved it. And we won absolutely everything. And before I knew it, Jack Steedman got a hold of me and desperate to sign me. I think we won the Scottish Cup, the league, for a couple of seasons, right into reserve football for there. But you played for Annie's Land and you played for the reserves during the week, and I was banging in goals for the reserves. So that's how it started.
Quite a quite a few kind of senior professionals in that Clydebank squad as well. I think Jerry McCabe was there.
Right, still pally with Jerry. Yeah,
Jim Gallagher in goals.
brilliant.
Was that a very kind of formative experience as you as a kind of kid?
I thought I was the bee's knees, the Dogs. I thought I was, I get my debut, a couple of reserve games. They didn't faze me, because in the reserve games in the days, Ian, you were playing against Alex Brash, Gregor Stevens, Roddy McDonald, all these guys, all these experienced pros, Dougie Bells, brilliant players, brilliant. And a bit daunting, you would think. Didn't faze me. But I made my debut against Clyde. We get beat 2-1. Derek Fry scored 2. I think Jerry Ronald pulled one back for us. And I get absolutely bullied with Paul Flexney and Brian Ahern, sweeper. Couldn't get the ball. I couldn't. When I controlled the ball, Brian was coming in front of me and taking off me. And I get schooled. And that was a massive lesson for me. And one that I think I was a sub a couple of times, and I couldn't break through, couldn't get into the team. Don't forget as well, the style of play they had was one up front, really, with runners, and I wasn't a runner, so it didn't suit my style. I managed to get a couple of appearances in the Premier League the next season, but Mike Lanark, who was there, he came from Newcastle United. He was brilliant with me, just told me to work in my game, holding the ball and laying it off, getting into the box. So there was guys there, Mark Trainer, he actually threatened me for not holding the ball up, because for these guys at the time, the win bonus was their week's best messages. That was what it was all about in the days. So it was a real hard learning curve for me.
Well, you were talking about your style. There's maybe people that are a bit younger that didn't get a chance to see you play firsthand. And this is a question you ask a musician, and they'll never give them the answer. Like, who would you compare yourself to? But if you're a footballer, who's a footballer from kind of modern times that you would have a similar style to, do you think?
Is there many is going about? I don't think there's many going about now. I mean, it's definitely not Haaland. There you go. I mean, he's a freak. I mean, absolute freak. He's everything. Aye. So I don't know. I just don't know. I look down in England. I do think it's changed where, Ian, I went down to Sheffield United for a couple of months when I was at Albion Rovers, and I watched their game down there. I looked at the players, and a guy, Jeff Pike, that played for West Ham in Notts County. We played Notts County in a pre-season friendly, and he came up and said to me after the game, walking off, "Where are you down from?" I told him, "There's not many players like you in this league. What they tend to do in these leagues is go over the top. It's always a ball at the midfield, back and into the corners." I was playing with Brian Dean and Tony Agana at the time. There's a guy in midfield called Jim Gannon who played tremendous left foot, and it was a Wimbledon style Sheffield play. It was Dave Bassett.
Aye.
And I said, well, hopefully he'll see, I can do that. But nothing came of it. He came up to watch me against Aberdeen in the League Cup for Albion Rovers, and I was up against McLeish and Miller.
Oh, that's easy.
So, I mean, it was...
You'd have them in your...
So, I mean, the two best centre-backs. And in fact, I can't remember if Miller was playing. It might have been David Robertson who played in there, who went for a lot of money as well. And I thought, I'm not going to get a kick of the ball. And I didn't, because of the style of play. Excuse me. A lot of people forget, and a lot of supporters forget as well. And we talk about it a lot. 60, 70 minutes of a guy up top himself playing against these guys. You get subbed because you've ran out of steam, ran out of legs, ran out of ideas. The manager needs to change it. It's always good for a guy to come on and maybe that freshness, but the guy that gets off gets forgotten about in the 60, 70 minutes, and it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig, Ian, So I appreciate any guy that plays up there himself and going from side to side, trying to get fullbacks to play them in. Look at the game now. Look at the wingers now. The wingers don't cross the ball into the box. They don't. Man City have only changed their style since Haaland's come in. I watch wingers now getting to the byline, or even 1-on-1. When I was coaching, if they didn't take the winger on, they would be off. The fullback on, they would be off. It seems to go from there, back to the centre-backs, out the other side, back to the centre-backs, back. So the centre-forwards made 3 or 4 runs by this time. And for me, that modern type football, for me, that wouldn't suit me one bit.
It's frustrating because you see the perfect opportunity for a winger to get a ball in quickly, because the defence are backtracking, he pauses, everybody stops and then the defender has the advantage. The striker doesn't have momentum to get up to the ball.
Very frustrating for every supporter as well watching their team.
But you can't go up for a ball now. As soon as you try to head the ball, that's it, free kick against you, and you're...
I think I would find that quite difficult. I could be really physical if I wanted to be. If I were struggling a wee bit, I would have a word with the manager and maybe put a goalkeeper in the net. I mean, Campbell Money used to say to me, our first corner every time we played them, when you put me in the net, the day, big man. And sometimes you have to do that to let them think about coming for the next ball. Any goalkeeper. You don't see a lot of that now because they're all jostling in the box and the refs actually stop them. They play to warn two guys that are grappling with each other. I've got to say, that all went on when we played. It's no different. You know, you just had to make a run and try and get away. But what I will say is the corners were maybe more held up for guys to attack nowadays. And I sound as if I'm an old pensioner. Well, I'm nearly an old pensioner. But, you know, they seem to like this whipped in ball now. But there was guys in our teams that were doing things like that as well. So nothing's changed that much.
Well, you talked about going to Albion Rovers and you're a curiosity as an Albion Rovers player because you won a title.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Rovers have tumbled down the leagues a wee bit. But
bit sad about that, yeah.
What was it like winning that?
Well, leaving Clydebank, you touched on earlier there, old Jack and Tommy Gemmell. And Tommy Gemmell wanted to sign me. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, well, here we go. So I actually went into town to meet him, into his office, and he gave me a couple of £100 and said to me, right, you're on. I says, the only thing is, Gaffer, says, booked my holidays. So he was a wee bit unhappy about that, Tommy, you know. And me and my girlfriend, my wife now, still the same person.
You're very quick to kind of...
Well, I had to get that in. Went on holiday with this couple of £100. Shows you what a couple of £100 to get you in 8 days. And I come back and I made my debut for Tommy, and the joy of him just getting me over there. And I've always kind of went in my career with guys that I've known at the football teams. The only reason I went there, because I knew Big Tony Gallagher. And Big Tony played there, played with Stranraer, big centre-back, East Kilbride boy, great guy. And he says to me, come to us. And Tommy Gemmell and him, and of course Joe Baker. I thought, tell my dad about that one, you know. And it didn't work the first season. It didn't work. But Big Davy Provan came in, another Rangers legend, Big Davy Provan, brilliant guy. He's seen something in us, really did. And he was hard on me. There's a couple of times I thought, here we go, we're going to be rolling about the dressing room here. And but he was only trying to make me better. And we had a wee midfielder, Jim Chapman, playing off me. A couple of experienced guys at the back, Mike Oliver, Robert Clark, ex-Ranger, ex-Motherwell player. And a kind of group of journeymen. We signed a boy, Paul McKenzie, Wolfie, I think he came did he go to Falkirk, from Falkirk, I can't like Hamilton Accies maybe, something like that. And he was the grinder in there. He just worked his socks off and won the ball back for us. And I created a lot of chances for Chappie and for wee Paul Teven at the wing and a lot of other boys that played in that team. And we went on a run. And me and Paul McKenzie built up this friendship that we were out every Saturday after a win. And for Christmas, I think we were out every single week. And I spoke to you earlier off air about camaraderie and a bond. That team was 100%. 100%. The reason we won that league was because of the bond we had. No doubt about it.
Do you still keep in contact with a lot of the players you played with? Because I've had some players tell me, no, I don't keep in touch. I wasn't friends with people I played with.
I wasn't friends with a lot of people. I mean, I wasn't friends at, I'll touch on it later on. I went to Motherwell and that was a big time for me. I mean, Motherwell. I mean, I wanted to enjoy playing football and I didn't enjoy it at Motherwell. I'll tell you that right now. Didn't enjoy it one bit. But there, I see guys here and there bump into at dinners. I done an after dinner thing down at Ayr, and it was the Ayr United team that ran away with the league, Ally McLeod's team. Paul McKenzie was in it, a lot of guys that I'm friendly with, and it was good to see them all again, you know. So you bump into guys at these things. But I'm still friendly with a lot of people, Graham Mitchell, Derek Ferguson, we got Joe Tortolano, people like that I keep in touch with. But obviously some that you just drift away from, but when you do see them, it's great, you know. Mm-hmm. Some aging better, more than others, Ian, to be quite honest with you, but we're all getting old.
Well, how did you then move from Rovers to United?
That was Bobby Russell. I always done, we get promoted, obviously, as you touched on, we won the league, we get promoted. And for some reason, played really well against United. Just played really well against them every time we played them. I think a couple of games were on the telly. And I think Jimmy Nicholl was commentating on a couple and co-commentator on a couple of wee cup games. Played really well in the games. And that's when I was going down to Sheffield. I thought maybe I've got a chance here. When he came up to watches, obviously, it didn't work out. I think he put, I don't know, I believe there was a bid in the table, but Ally came in and outbid them. So in their days, you just went where the money was. And unfortunately for me, or fortunate for me, because I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing. Ally McLeod, there you go. So there's a couple of managers, a couple of people I've named for you. And I know when I do speak to older people that annoy me talking about these guys that I worked under, and he was just phenomenal.
Well, you're going to have to tell us some stories about Ally.
Ally, actually, this is how I didn't treat football seriously. I didn't. Money wasn't. I wasn't interested in money. I just wanted to play the game. I mean that, honestly. And Ally came in to sign me, and we were playing St Mirren, Somerset Park, and this was the Friday. We were, the Albion Rovers were actually leaving to go on a pre-season tour up north, Huntly, Elgin, all that kind of stuff. And Ally came in, and so I was to sign. So I signed. I says to him, can I not just go up north with the lads and see you next week, Ally? And he went, you've got a game tomorrow against St Mirren. That's how quick it was. I had to go down to, go and tell my dad, obviously, go down. That was the final papers, but going in to sign for Ayr was, I went down myself. Went down to Somerset Park, drove down, went in to see him in the room with the chairman. The chairman's sitting at one side and Ally's sitting on the other side, but at one side of the chairman, he's kind of blindsided by me. He can't really see me or see Ally because Ally's leaning back in his chair. And he says, how much are you looking for? And I'd never been asked that question before. I usually just get told what I was getting. Inexperienced, I suppose. And he gave me a number, and I says, no, I want more than that. And he says, well, tell me then. So I told him, because I was going full time. This is me going full time. This is me, panel beat the trade, going full time. To give it a go. Always wanted to give it a go. And again, I knew a lot of boys down there. Tommy Walker playing against them, Feaster, Craig Zannisland. Good players. Really good players. Wee Henry Templeton, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But I gave him another number, and the chairman says, right, so we can give you that signing on fee and we can give you that weekly. I'll go in and see the directors are in another room. But meanwhile, Ally's leaning back and he's putting his fingers up in the air, telling me, going like that. The chairman can't see him. And I'm kind of looking across at Ally and I'm saying, what's he doing? Right, I didn't know whether he was making faces. I don't know what he was doing. So the chairman went out and he went, see you, I was trying to get you an extra couple of £100 there. Look at me. I'm pointing the figures at you. And I thought, this guy will do for me. But I was raging because I didn't ask for more. So that type of guy, just that type of guy is we could walk into a room. We played Dundee. I think we beat them. I think I scored. We beat them. And we were driving home, and I'm saying to myself, I've got to meet the wife in the town. The Dodge bus used to drop us off at Charing Cross. That's where we used to get. Meeting the wife in the town at 7 o'clock. And we're driving. We're late at the dressing room. It's a good victory for us. Dundee had just come down for the Premier League, and it was a good one. And we're driving back, and Ally just shouted out, driver, right turn into the Swallow Hotel. So we went into the Swallow Hotel, and the boys are all going, the directors are going, come on, just in for one. Come on, in for one, lads. Good one. Come on. The chairman's getting it. Right. So the chairman's face is fins at the deck. So the whole squad going. But the Aberdeen players are back for playing in Glasgow. They've just, whatever, Dunfermline or something. And within a minute, every Aberdeen player, every Ayr player, all the guests, the people that were in the hotel were around Ally, and Ally was telling stories. Just had them in the palm of his hand. And that's the way he was as a manager. You just listened to him and you just want to do your best for him, Although he did have a kind of volatile relationship with their supporters. He did have a volatile relationship. You could see it. Because what the supporters down there couldn't imagine, Ian, was they ran away with the league in the second division. They ran away with it. They were brilliant. You know, the players, they had Big Cowley outside left. The centre forward that was scoring a wee Tommy Walker. Templeton was running amok. Wee Evans in midfield. They were brilliant side. They were really good. But they stepped up and they didn't realise that they were up a league. They thought they could still run away with it. Big sludding. And they weren't running away, so they gave Ally a hard time. But I'll just tell you this quick story of how infectious he was. See, when I went down there to sign for him, Peter Weir and Tommy Bryce signed. Sammy Johnson came in. We had a good side, really good side. We should have done better. I think we had a good couple of runs in cups, but league-wise, no, wasn't as good. But pre-season, my first pre-season down there, it was about 70, 75 degrees down at Somerset. It was looking immaculate. The park was always brilliant. It's, you know, always brilliant down there at the start of the season. We Davy Hartness said it, tremendous. And we were one short reserves against the first team. And Ali went, I'll go outside left, right? So he had the tracksuit. It was like a rain suit on, and it was 75 degrees. And he played outside left, and he says, I've got my Umbros on, but it was high tech. It was grey high tech suede trainers he always wore, even more than we suit. He thought they were Umbro. So the boys are killing themselves laughing at that. So we played 40, 45 minutes, and he's playing, and we're all sweating, and what a good workout it was, and he's got one or two touches, just laying it off and things, and he walks into the dressing room after it, and we're all getting ready to get into the bath or a shower, whatever it was, and Ali takes off his wetsuit, and he's got his suit and shirt and tie on under it. He said, I'm away to a meeting in the chairman's house. Right? That was what it was like. He was just incredible. What a guy, brilliant. Honestly, and some of the stories about the Scotland thing as well, you know, just the way he picked the team and all that were just brilliant. So I was actually disappointed we never done a lot better under him. But then, of course, George Burley came in, and that was me. I was on my way, as you said. I think you opened the question me, how did I get to Motherwell? Well, wee Bobby Russell come down. A couple of players come in from Motherwell. Wee George and wee Tam were best of pals. Obviously, George had played there as well. And Bobby says to me, you're away to Motherwell today. And I went, I don't know anything about it. What are you talking about? I scored a few goals that season, 21 goals. I think I was on a good run in Motherwell and with United, and I was in the car on the way up to see Tommy McLeod at Fir Park. So this would be 92, 91, 92 season, something round about that.
Just after the cup one?
Season after.
Yep.
So they were flying. And again, this false thing for the supporters. You know, we can do this all the time. It happens at every club. We'll touch on it later. It happens at every club. You think you're going to be up there all the time, and it doesn't work like that. Did work like that? And I went up to see Tommy McLeod. You walk into his office, and it's the biggest office in the world, and you sit down and he says, pull the chair up, and I was scared. I didn't know. I didn't have an agent, nothing, but nobody knew anything about agents. There was a couple going about winter then, Bill McMurdo, things like that. But I didn't have one, and he told me what I was getting. Simple as that. He told me, and I went, okay. So I left there, and I went round, didn't have a mobile phone. In the corner to Gordon Parks, used to work with Daily Record, loves this story when I tell him. He says, what did you do? I says, well, there was a phone box at the end of the street. And I went into the phone box and phoned my wife and told her I've just signed for Motherwell. And she went, you're kidding? I says, no. I says, do you fancy a Chinese the night? That was my celebration, a Chinese meal. And that was it. Back up the road, and didn't even have a chance to say cheerio to the air boys. Left with my boots, and on I went.
Well, you said that Motherwell wasn't the greatest of times for you. What happened? What went wrong?
Didn't get a game. I actually heard later on from David Holmes, ex-Rangers chairman, that there was a couple of teams in for us. And the reason Tommy signed me was to stop me going there. That's what I heard. So that was a wee bit frustrating for me, because when I went, I played the first few games, got an ankle injury, didn't help me. Was in and out the team, beat with Hearts, fighting relegation. Not fighting relegation, but not doing as well as what we were doing. And get beat with Hearts one night, and I went into the toilet, and Tommy came in and went, "This is all your fault." I went, "I wasn't playing, Gaffer." He went, "Exactly." I thought, I've not got a good relationship with him here. But I've seen the heights of them winning the cup, the players, some great guys there. There was some great guys there. Big Kirky legend, great guy. Ian Ferguson. He was good for a word in your ear. Although Tommy hated him as well for some reason. I think because he played with all the teams that he played with and had success with the teams. Another cup final hero, by the way. Rob McKinnon, my neighbour when I moved up East Kilbride. Big Brian Martin, who I seen changing from that game for Ayr United against St Mirren as a big raw centre-back to this cultured, no panic, Miodrag Kravokapic understudy. He taught him everything, how to play out for the back. His game went to another level for Motherwell.
Scotland international,
absolutely outstanding. Outstanding. I used to, obviously, I was on the bench every week. I think what done is as well, Ian, was the substitutes changed. The substitutes changed when I was there. They went for this 2 subs to 3. And wee Tam came in and says, "See the subs, the 3 subs will split the bonus, right? Instead of the 2 years getting a bonus, we'll split the bonus with the 3. And it was Big Billy Thompson. God rest him, Big Billy, what a guy, brilliant guy. And he was like, "Oh, you beauty," because he was getting the bonus no matter what happened. So Dougie Arnott started. Kirky would come on, and that's 2 forwards, and that was kind of, am I going to get a chance? So it kind of faded away for me. And I knew that at Ayr United, Jimmy Nicholl was interested just to cut you in. And Tommy told me that Jimmy Nicholl had been on the phone, and I went to meet him up in Stirling. Met him in some hotel, and just thrashed out a deal to get away, because I had to get away from Motherwell to play. I wasn't playing.
To kind of briefly touch on Billy Thompson, I was standing outside primary school waiting to pick up my son just coming out of class, and I just turned around and looked at the guy beside me and I went, "Did you not play in the UEFA Cup final?" And he went, "Aye." I went, "In the Scottish Cup final, United against St Mirren?" "Aye, thanks for bringing those up. I lost both of them."
Aye, he was a brilliant guy. See, at that time, Ian, there was a lot of stuff going on, and I started to take it a wee bit more serious. People ask me, was Motherwell, what was, I just didn't enjoy it because I wasn't playing. That was it. You know, I was a sub all the time, and I made a few starts, scored a couple of goals. I just thought it would have kicked off for me there. But Big Billy, at the time, there was all this physio stuff was coming in, the changing of, you know, the eating habits and things, and Big Billy just used to say to me, "You're fit, you're fit. There's no got to pick a fat on you. You're strong. Just eat when you need to eat. Don't worry about all that." And that was the advice he gave me, and I stuck at it. But what I will say is, when Jimmy Nicholl did come in for me, probably the fittest I've ever been at Raith Rovers. Probably the fittest I've ever been. Strongest. And it was all down to playing 5-a-sides. Nothing else.
You were talking about how there's a wee bit of kind of awe when you'd Ally McLeod, and was there that with Jimmy Nicholl as well? Because you talk the guy, he played at the World Cup with Northern Ireland, he was a Man United player.
I think it was an age difference. Jimmy wasn't that older. You know, these other guys were, maybe it's the wrong thing to say, but kind of football figures. You know, Tommy Gemmell. I mean, you can't get any bigger than that. Ally McLeod, Davy Provan, Joe Baker. I mean, I've got a couple of Hibs fans, they're old man's Joe Baker daft, and I was sharing a dressing room with him. That's just fantastic for me. Brilliant. He's a great guy. And some of the stories for him as well, I mean, brilliant. But Jimmy was different. Jimmy was still playing. So you had a player's relationship and a manager's relationship. Don't get me wrong. Jimmy took the huff more than any other manager. Jimmy would fall out with you, take the huff, whereas the other guys would fall out with you, but just blank you. But he would go back and see him and give you an example. Played Celtic, Simon Donnelly's debut, beat 2-0. and we're in for a shower. But those two horrific goals, but Simon will say they were crackers, you know. And he says to me, right, just get ready and get out here. I says, all right. Played Dundee the following week, and I wasn't in the squad. I was dropped. He never told me why. He beat 2-1 against Dundee, and he pulled me in and he says to me, on the Monday, I want a word with you. I says, what? He says, why didn't you come to see me on Friday afternoon when you weren't in that squad? I says, because you left me out of the squad. He says, you're the manager, you pick the team. See if you'd came to see that game that suited you. See if you'd come in and says to me, how am I on the squad? You'd have been in the squad and you'd have been playing. I went, I'm not a psychic or anything like that, Jimmy. You left me out the squad and that was it. That was the type of thing he was looking for a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
He was good at that, psychological stuff. And the next week, I think I started and I scored. So, it worked for him, but it didn't work the 2-1 defeat because the fans weren't happy about it. But I just couldn't get him sometimes, if you know what I mean. Whereas the other managers were just more straight and more tell you how it was. But Jimmy was like that. Because we used to all go for a warm-up and Jimmy would be at the front and we'd all be running behind him with a petted lip if we didn't get the right result the Saturday before. Until he turned round and seen us all and then everything would be all right again, you know. Forget about it. We need to move on to the next game. We can't dwell on the result. And I went there, obviously, when they were in the Premier League, and unfortunately, we get relegated, but the signs were there. And the reason I went in was, again, I knew guys that played for them. I mean, I can't ever recall. I scored one of the best hat-tricks that I'm going to be honest with you, for Ayr United against Raith Rovers. The perfect hat-trick, left foot volley, diving header, right foot volley. Peter Harrison said it's the best hat-trick he's ever seen. So that goes a long way for me. So I left a kind of imprint with the supporters up there. I'd like to think. Don't get me wrong, I didn't score many hat-tricks for Raith and I went right enough. But I think they knew I could do a job. And I phoned Jock McStay and Peter Harrison. Met Peter before I signed. And the card journey was Gordon Dale, Jock McStay, Peter Harrison, Ronnie Coyle. And I thought, I'll have a bit of that. And it was just a laugh, and it was enjoying the enjoyment of going to work,
mm-hmm.
training, and getting back down the road. We met at Newhouse, and that was us all week. Somebody would take their car one week, somebody would take their car next week. And the journey was absolutely fantastic. Brilliant, a brilliant time. And of course, getting in the training, they all knew me. They knew I liked a joke and a laugh. That's what it was like. It was serious, but time for a laugh and a joke. And time for a night out as well. We like to be, a wee night out. Jimmy Nicholl endorsed that. That was part of his Man United upbringing. And we loved it. Absolutely loved it. And unfortunately, I get it, as I say to you. But the good thing for me was I was looking at some of the boys coming through. Colin Cameron, Stevie Crawford, Jason Dare. I thought I could contribute to them. And hopefully part of their career helped at some part with the way I played. But thoroughly enjoyable, really enjoyable place.
Well, you touched on some of those players there, and some of the names: Scott Thompson, Sean Dennis, Stephen McInespie, Colin Cameron, Dare, guys that these kind of young players that would go on to have fantastic careers, but maybe one of the most underappreciated things that Nicholl did was bringing in experience once Raith Rovers went down, and you'd David Neary, who is in the argument for the best Scottish centre-half ever.
Yeah.
And Ian Redford's a veteran,
great guy
player.
Yeah.
Did they contribute quite a lot to that run? Because the League Cup was the start of the season. It wasn't like everybody had buried in and it was like the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
You started that season so well with the form that you had.
Yeah, in the League Cup. I think I was managing to grab a couple of goals. I think Big Sean went, thank God you're hitting the net, because we're toiling here. And we struggled in the league, Ian. We struggled in the league. But I remember talking to a couple of older guys. Big Davy Neary, Big Davy was... I had quite a good relationship with Davy. I could speak to him and things, but he never shared much. I think he was always a quiet guy. he didn't contribute really in the dressing room. You would ask him something and he would tell you. But Ian Redford was in amongst it. He was one of the good guys. He was a brilliant guy. You could ask him anything about anything, he would tell you what they'd done, or should maybe try that. So you did listen to him. But don't forget, me and Daz were probably, and Ronnie Coyle, were experienced players now. So we were trying to tell the young guys, what direction to go, or how to play, or what to do, and sometimes as well, I think we had a good understanding. Big Veggie, Big Sean, different class, Davy Sinclair, two hardy boys who could play a bit. But when I look back now at some of the goals we lost, I mean, some of the goals we did lose in these seasons, no great.
Well, but you didn't lose any. The first game of the League Cup anyway. That was Ross County.
Yeah.
That was a 5-0 hammering up in Dingwall.
Hat trick, 3 headers, set the ball rolling, started off really well. Nowadays, as you say as well, don't forget, you are going through it progressively, but you don't realise you're going through a cup. You play 4, 5, 6 league games, then it's a cup. It's no when you get to, by the way, this is to get into the quarters. See if we win this, we're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup. You take it serious. I'm not saying you don't take any game serious, but you go, we've got a chance here, man. See if we win this, we've got a right good chance. Before you know it, if you win that, you're in the semis. You've got to win. You've got to win it. You've got to win. It's not a league game where you go again the next week and we get 3 points a day or whatever. So but we started to, what's next week? It's a League Cup. Right, come on then, let's get in and see how far we can go here. And the boys were right up for it. And I think we had a good run. Injuries as well. I think the team kind of picked itself. But there was emergence of Crawford and Dare, and Danny Lennon had come into the team. He was playing really well. So the manager had a few decisions to make. And it could have been any one of us that got left out. But I seem to save my goals for that competition.
You committed the cardinal sin before the next tie because you lost to Dunfermline, and you can't lose to Dunfermline as a Raith Rovers player.
No, it was a score. 5-2.
1-0 Dunfermline.
1-0, was it? I can't even remember that game. I really can't. I can't. That was a big game up there. That was the one we had to win. But I think they forgave us.
Oh, aye.
In the next round. So I think they forgave us. And
I don't think Kilmarnock forgave you. The ex-Ayr United player coming back to London.
Absolutely. And Colin Cameron was the wee competition, me and him, to see who could score the most goals in that cup that year. And I managed to contribute and gave him a couple of chances, and one of his goals was like an overhead kick thing. I'm like, where'd you learn to do that? And it was just right out the blue, and we blew them away. We did. And again, Ian, as I say, it's you come into the dressing room after that game, you're all, God, by the way, lads, this is fantastic. You're into the next round, and you can see the fight. You can see how it's panning out, because you're now starting to look at who's left, who's in it, who's not in it, and you can see these teams unfolding. And of course, you're waiting on who you're going to get in the next round.
Well, you got St Johnstone in the next round, or a wee trip up to McDermott.
Yeah, and we went up there to stay. I can remember that. I can't remember. It was quite funny. The team bus, Jimmy had booked us into a hotel in this kind of remote place. Not far from Perth. Up that kind of way. I can't remember if it was that game where we actually left Davy Neary in his room. We left without him. I mean, and so, no, that way, for somebody's all that kind of try to me or Ronnie Coyle or somebody would kind of count the heads, Jimmy would go. So, and the phone went, Davy Neary's still at the hotel. Imagine forgetting Davy Neary. I mean, I says, Gaffer, I put a note under his door telling the bus leaves in 5 minutes. That's the only way you can communicate with him. Bus leaving at 5:45. Davy, Sash, bus leaving at 5:45. Didn't answer us. So the chef had to bring him to the game. The chef in the hotel, he jumped in his motor and bring it to McDermott Park. And just as well. But that game was, I love watching that game back. I think it's brilliant. I think played really well. Good goals, man. Really good goals. Again, managed to get a good goal, and But wee Danny's goal was brilliant at the end, and the supporters then, I think if you watch them, believe that we've got a chance here, man. This is pretty serious. It's not a kid on, this is serious stuff, the way we played. His goal was brilliant, ran for his own half, I think, counter-attack, bang, never tried to get into the game. And he just tucked it away, brilliant. And unfortunately for him, I can't remember when he got injured, Ian, but wee Danny got injured on the lead up to the final. I don't know if it was a league game or whatever, but he was brilliant that night. But we had a few beers after that game, I'll tell you, because that was us into the semis.
Well, you would think the gods of the draw were kind to you by giving you Airdrie, but
Cup Kings.
They were such a good team when it came to cup games. They were so difficult to play against.
They were a hardy bunch. I've had a few encounters over the years, managed to score against them a few times, but they were a hardy bunch. We knew they were good in the cup. It was quite eerie that night, Ian. I can't remember the reason for it, but coming out for the start of that game, obviously Davy Kirk was playing midfield. He's an ex-Airdrie player. We came out, I remember saying to him that end will be full of Airdrie fans, and it wasn't. I heard that there was an accident in the motorway and a lot of Airdrie fans hadn't made it through because of but it was eerie because our side and the main stand, the cross of the main stand was full. But the Airdrie end was pretty, I thought that, it's just a semi-final. But Bill Crombie, my old pals, probably sent me off more times than any other ref throughout my career. Done us a right good turn that night and said that Scott Thompson stepped outside the box when he caught the ball, and if you watch it 100 times, only VAR would be able to see now if you want to go down that road, Ian. If he was outside his box, I certainly didn't think he was, but it was a blessing because wee Potts came on and managed to get us over the line. I remember Davy Neri during that game. I says, "Where's Davy going? He's running up the park with the ball, And he played a 1-2 with Daz in the box, and it fell to Daz, and he laid it off to me, and I managed to bury it in the bottom corner. 1 up. Tom will get sent off. I've got to kind of get back to centre-backish. My back's against the wall. Stevie Cooper scores a cracking goal. 1 each, into extra time. We're getting battered. We're battering us. It was just, Jimmy Nicholl loved the fixed bayonets. Let's dig in here. We managed to hang on to the penalty kicks. And wee Potts saved Alan Lance's penalty to put us through. And it was bedlam.
Were you involved in that penalty shootout?
No, I didn't take the penalties for some reason, and I took them later on in my career. I took them for a lot of teams later on, and I had a good record at taking them. I don't know why. I just don't know why. Maybe Jimmy Nicholl didn't fancy me, never put me down for him. But that was, people asked me, how do you not take a penalty? And Jimmy had his 5, and it was the same 5 again. So when it was, if it was going to sudden death, obviously you need to step up kind of thing, But all hell broke loose. The Raith fans were all in the park, and I ran back with me and big Sean Dennis ran into the dressing room giggling like wee kids, just giggling. Got my couple of cans of lager, and big Sash came in, big Davy Neri, and I says to Davy, "Cup final, Davy." The Raith Rovers, I can't believe it. And it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, brilliant party time. The unfortunate thing for wee Potter was that we went back to the legendary Jackie O's and had a night out in the final. Place was buzzing, and he never got in because he was 17.
Oh, shame.
And we all said, "See you later, Potsy. Well done, son. See you at training."
Well, you end up facing what you kind of had said was your boyhood kind of team, Celtic. They're the opponents in that League Cup, held at Ibrox because Hampden was getting reconfigured. Did you suddenly become one of the most popular men in your social circle? Oh, you get a ticket, big man.
I think I got my family tickets. I think I got the Sloyes tickets. Saw the Sloyes for Kidmile and Mount Vernon. They all turned up. My uncle Pat, and obviously my whole family. And I think he actually sent me the ticket, and I've got it in the house. I think it was £7 or something in the days. It might have been cheaper than that, actually. So the family were there. Popularity-wise, no, I've a lot of guys a lot of Celtic pals that when they talk to me, But we were confident. I mean, I remember the lead up to it. It was great. It was a good build up. Everybody wanted to talk. You know what it's like. You know, everybody's wanting a wee bit of the action. A lot of managers coming on and writing us off a wee bit. But we just looked at Celtic's. I mean, Tommy Burns. I mean, Big Billy start. Big Billy played under Big Billy a few times and they weren't in for ages. You know, Rangers were dominating. And we knew we had a chance. And Alec Totten came on, who one of my teams, I didn't have a chance to play under him right enough because of a terrible knee injury, but he kind of wrote us off a wee bit, kind of wrote me off a wee bit. And we thought we could give it a go. I think with the young guys in the team, that was a big call for Jimmy. Put the young guys in, starting them. And I think the reason for that was because Danny was out. Danny had a broke his foot. So that was the reason for starting the young guys.
Do you think that added freshness that Celtic didn't have? Because they had players like Mowbray, Nicholas, Walker, who were kind of getting on a bit in the years, and they struggled to kind of keep up, especially getting into extra time. Do you think that's...
I think we ran amok in extra time. I think we probably deserved, without having really any clear-cut chances, we ran amok. I think we dominated. I think the young guys... I think the Celtic fans then seen it turning, and if they can hold on to penalties, they take their chances. But I've got to confess, Ian, when it went to 2-1, the 86th minute, maybe 86 minute, I took centre with Daz. I went like, well, Daz. I says, we're dead unlucky there. He's dead unlucky. In this cauldron, you know, because the Celtic fans are gone daft.
Yeah.
He went, we're not finished yet. And I remember Jason Deere getting the ball at the right-hand side. And I don't know what I was doing. I just thought, I'll just make this run. I'll just run somewhere, you know, to try and get on the ball. Fatigue's setting in. I'd battled with Mowbray and Mark McNally, another pal of mine, back, and battled away with him. Just trying to, any ball that came up, all my job was to do was get the young kids into the game. I didn't flick the ball on for Daz. I'd just try and batter in and hold the ball up and lay it off. And it was physically draining. I mean, physically. And I just thought, I'll just run out here, you know. And Jason Deere cut onto his left foot and hit that shot, you know. I remember saying, what the is he shooting for there for? And Big Mar spilled it and Daz poked it in. And it was euphoria. I mean, complete euphoria. That was it. The whole centenary stand at Ibrox went bananas. And at the start of the game, Ian, when we walked out, that gave us a lift. Because Celtic had the three sides and we had one side, but we had that one right across for the tunnel. And see, when you walked out and you seen the Raith supporters that night, or that afternoon, sorry, it gave you a lift. We were all 10 foot tall. And we started the game really well with Stevie Crawford. But then, as you say, the veterans came into it for Celtic. Walker, Nicholas, and scored, and we thought that was it. But Daz poked up, says he headed it in with his nose as usual, but that was an instinctive goal. Instinctive, brilliant. Done it all season for us. The run up to that cup final, I think it was something like 16 games, or he scored every game. We started to motor. I said to you earlier on, before the final, the first rounds, we hadn't really started that well. We were the favourites in that league. But the turning point for me was Clydebank, run about the quarters just before the semis. We went down to Clydebank, we battered them. And we went on this run. And Daz was battling in the goals. And I thought, we've got a chance. And then with 4 minutes to go, you think you've not got a chance. And then he pops up. And you think you've got a chance again. It's extra time. I'm saying to myself, surely we've got to get a chance here, come on. But thinking back to the game, it's a bit of a cloud. You're too involved in it. I don't think there was any clear-cut chances. It was all about possession and breaks, and people are getting tired. And when it goes to penalty kicks, you're physically and mentally exhausted in that game.
What was your emotions like during penalty kicks? Were you relaxed? You think we've got this, or were you kind of...
No, I just says to Jimmy came out and met, how are you? I says, I can't, my calves, 2 calves are gone. I says, my hammy's ready to go. And he says, right. So Big Jerry Dock was working on me, and a couple of other boys, and he picked his 5, and then you step up to take the penalties, and you're all just standing in the line. I can't remember even if, you know, that way where they stand in a line now with their arms round each other and everybody's kind of, waiting in their turn, waiting in the next one. I can't remember where we were standing. And obviously on the halfway line, Ian, this penalty started and they're all their penalties are trickling in. And I'm thinking, man, come on, Tomo. And then obviously Paul McStay takes the last penalty, and Scott Thompson, our angle from it, we're looking straight down, me and Sean Dennis again, stood next to each other. We're looking straight down, so you can't see the angle when Tomo saves it, and it bounces up, and we think it's went in. But the Raith fans that were at an angle cheered, and I don't know what happened after that, quite honest with you. I think a couple of us were just worrying about who's taking the next penalty. I think that's the thing. Oh, Jesus, this is coming to us here, you know. I'm going to have to walk right up and put it in the spot. But incidentally, I forgot to mention to you, the semi-final penalty shootout, we Potter threw the ball up in the air to Alan Lawrence. Just threw it right up in the air to Alan Lawrence. And Alan caught it. Had to step back a bit just to knock him out his stride. Very clever for a young man. Tomo done the same. I think Tomo done the same, leading up to the penalty. I didn't think Paul McStay's penalty was particularly bad. Some of yours were worse, but went in. But Tomo saved it, and it was just euphoria, man. It was Willem Dafoe and Platoon, you know what I mean, running about, doing slideys in the knees and jumping and tapping each other. I didn't even know if that was it finished. I just seen everybody running and thought, we've won it. We've actually won the cup. And it's not later on that it kind of gets a hold of you and you realise that you've done it. And you look round the three sides where the Celtic fans were and there's nobody there. A few stayed back right enough. But my only regret is not playing at Hampden. That's my only regret. Brilliant Ibrox, great stadium, great to win it there, fantastic atmosphere, but it's the old history thing, you know. I'd love to have played that at Hampden. Would we have won the game? Might have been different, Ian. But that's the only regret that I've got in that cup run.
Well, what if we said to you, Ally, I'm sorry, you can't play at Hampden, it's got to be at Ibrox, but to make it up for you, you go to the Olympic Stadium in Munich. Was that all right? Would that make it up?
Aye, that was a draw. I was kind of falling out of favour a wee bit of the team at that time. I'd been in to see Jimmy about a new contract after winning that. I was injured for a few weeks after that, but I couldn't walk for a number of days. They thought it was I tore a stomach muscle. Missed a few games. And the lead up to the next season, managed to get back in. It was a wee kind of strange relationship with me and Jimmy there. So he left me out a couple of times. Managed to play at Easter Road. But through a couple of rounds, I got injured against the Cranes, didn't play the second leg, played over in the Faroes, managed to strike up a good relationship with Stevie Crawford again, obviously, because Daz was away. So we're looking good. And obviously the draw comes and you get Bayern Munich and it's Sky Sports and we're playing them at Easter Road. Had to move to Easter Road first. Done particularly well against them, get beat. Klinsmann, outstanding. I mean, what a player. One of the guys done a wee survey on him and says he just doesn't walk on the park, but doesn't stop moving. He's watched him, and he scored a couple of times. I managed to get man of the match that day. Thought everything was okay, and then the return leg, Jimmy never played me, and that's the biggest down in my whole career. When he named the team that night, for some reason Tony Rogie played, and brilliant for wee Danny's free kick, brilliant for the club, supporters loved it. It was a great experience. John Pierre Papin asked me how I wasn't playing. That's true. Why are you not playing? He says, "Do you ask a manager?" That was quite surreal, you know. And bumping into guys like Rummenigge and Augenthaler and all these guys that you watched, you know, a different level. Then you're actually seeing them. It was brilliant for all the boys. Absolutely brilliant. And that free kick puts us one up. They toyed with us at Easter Road. They were far better than us, you know. They actually, I don't know if you know this, but they actually try to get the ball swapped before the game for Umbro balls or to their Adidas because they flew a bit quicker, and they try to get the ball changed. Wouldn't have made any difference, I don't think, because in the second leg it was all about them. I remember the arrogance of Thomas Helmer, who was marking me when I come on. I had a wee chance, and it was a Adidas ball, and it came off my chest, and I thought, normally I'd put these away. And Can came out, and I gave him a right, I clocked him. And I thought I should have scored there. They make it 2 each. But they were just too good in the end for us. Brilliant for me, Danny, and great for the Raith fans at the time, but they were just too good for us, and it was a great experience. Absolutely fantastic. But playing in that Olympic Stadium, which isn't anymore. We watched World Cup finals there, Ian. Watched the Kaiser lifting the cup there, and all these great players. Van Basten's goal, that's where I missed my chance. Van Basten's volley against Russia, I mind that now.
Yep.
I mean, one of the best goals ever.
Do you remember Sergei Boltacha Jr. played for St Mirren, went down to Millwall. He ended up working with me, and I talked to him and I said, "Oh, that Van Basten goal, one of the best goals ever." And he went, "And my dad was meant to be marking him."
Oh, I mean, anyway, he was actually saying to him, probably hit it, because it was the angle was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But in that stadium, and so many teams have played in there, and it was brilliant. It was just brilliant. Me and Ronnie Coyle roomed, and you could look out our window and look at the spiders' webs for our room. And then the biggest one was the Olympic Stadium, but the wee gymnastic one, they're all webbed as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a spider's webs. It was big Alan McLeod told us that when he came in to see us. And great experience. I mean, absolutely brilliant. Really good. You're in the big time. That was a big time. Raith Rovers were in the big time. And to get in to go back there now, to go back to that. There's no many wee teams in a wee part of Scotland get to play in that. Fantastic.
Well, I think ending it on the big time is probably the best way to conclude this episode. I have to say thank you very much for joining us. You're shot from the hip, both in your cadisness and also with your 161 career goals, which you allege might be more.
Might be.
Join us next week for another journey into the annals of Scottish football. Our website is csi.com. You can find our socials. Until next week, bye.